Good morning. Welcome to Second Unitarian Church. It's a joy to have you with us. Please rise in body and spirit and join me in singing our opening hymn, Joy in the Morning. We'll find joy in the morning.
Also, there's plenty of seats up here. Welcome to Second Unitarian Church on this snowy Sunday morning in Chicago. I'm Carla Tebby, a member of the Board of Trustees, and my pronouns are she and her. Today, we're in person at the Admiral at the Lake in the 2U Sanctuary and continuing to meet virtually using Zoom. We're glad you're here, whichever way you are attending. If you're in the sanctuary and would benefit from hearing assistance, we have devices available, as well as noise-canceling headphones for both adults and children with noise sensitivities. Please see our tech team in the back. As we navigate varying needs for health and wellness, particularly related to COVID, we welcome you to wear a mask. We have masks available at the table as you enter the building. We especially welcome newcomers and visitors this morning. Finding a new community and making new connections can be challenging. Please know that we're excited to have you and look forward to getting to know you. If you would like, there are blue mugs available during coffee hour that you can use to signal to others that you would like them to come up and say hello. Not sure what to say? The Drum Allies group has come up with a question each week to help spark conversation. You can find the question posted on the coffee hour table. Additionally, we always need people in the kitchen after coffee hour, and that's a great place to meet new friends and see some older friends while helping hand. Our worship today is led by Reverend Jason Lydon, along with Jill Althage as worship associate. Music is provided by Bill Paul and Director of Music Carl Kennedy. Our time together requires a large group of people who make possible the worship, the music, and the technical production. I have a couple of announcements for you this morning. Following service today, we will have our first new member class. If you have been interested in exploring membership at 2U, we would love to have you. We will meet downstairs in Fleischman Hall at 12 p.m. The first session is led by Reverend Jason. Social Justice Ministries will be gathering tomorrow, Monday, January 13th at 6:30 at the Admiral at the Lake to be in community with each other and engage in service activities. All are welcome. Please reach out to Serena Jindal with questions. Her contact and more information can be found in your order of service. You can find additional announcements in your order of service. I want to say a word about greeting your neighbor. It's vital that we do this with the utmost focus on consent and comfortability. Whatever method of greeting you do, please ask the other person if they feel comfortable with the same level of contact. We all have different needs about how our bodies are in contact with others. Please be mindful. This is the time to take a moment and greet your neighbor.
Thanks, Carla. Good morning. Thank you.
Come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of the evening, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come.
Good morning. We are Unitarian Universalists. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation, a community of children, youth, and adults, a people of many beliefs and traditions, bound not by a specific list of things we believe, but just the values we share, where we keep love at the center. Whether you are joining us for the first time, the 1000th time, you are still welcome here. Whether you believe in God some of the time, all of the time, or none of the time, you are still welcome here. Whether whatever your race, whomever you love, whichever way you move in the world, however much money is in your pocket right now, you are welcome here. I invite you now to take a couple of deep breaths in and out. As the music begins, let us enter into our service together.
Thanks, Carl. In just a moment, Ryan here in the sanctuary and Harris at the Admiral will light our chalices, the symbol of our faith. And we light our chalices this morning with these words from Tess Baumberger. This place would be less beautiful without you. Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, Jew, Hindu, humanist, and earth-centered too. This place would be less beautiful without you. Your heart honed by hardship, grief, illness, seeking solace and comfort here among us. This place would be less beautiful without you. Filled with joy and gratitude, seeking celebration of life's bounty, this place would be less beautiful without you. Curious, inquisitive, asking questions, seeking transformations emerging from within, this place would be less beautiful without you. Striving to resist a world that tells us we are so much less than we can truly be, this place would be less beautiful without you. Born here in this community to seek heaven's fire, in each other's souls, our own flames rising to meet. And so this morning, we light our chalice, knowing that this place would be less beautiful without you.
Please rise in body or in spirit and join me in reciting our covenant, which is in your program and on the screen. We covenant to build a community that challenges us to grow and empowers us to honor the truth within ourselves. We will be generous with our gifts and honest in our communication, holding faithful to a love that embraces both diversity and conflict. Called by our living tradition, we will nurture spirituality within a vision of the eternal, living out our inner convictions through struggles for justice and acts of compassion.
Please lift your voices once more as we sing our congregational hymn, Spirit of Life.
You can be seated. I want to invite those who are young in age or young at heart to come join me on the chancel. Buddy, nice to see you. Hello, friends. Good to see you this morning. Happy Sunday. Nice to be together. All right, so I am wondering if anyone might be able to guess or tell me what country in the world you think has the most Unitarian Universalists. Yeah, so Africa might have the most Unitarian Universalists. Quick clarification, Africa is a continent. And there are countries and continents and other things that I don't know as much about geography. But you don't know many countries? That's okay. I also don't know all of the countries. Any other guesses? Yes. Burundi, there's a country on, so there's a picture. These are really wonderful guesses that you're making based on context clues that might be telling you something. That is, so maybe this is a trick, and I apologize, I'm not trying to trick you. The United States is the country that has the most unitary. You were about to say that? You were about to say that too? Why is there Africa? I promise I'll get to that in like 2 seconds. Very fair question. So the United States has the most Unitarian Universalists in the whole world. Actually, the most of the Unitarian Universalists in the world live in this country that we live in. But the truth is that there are Unitarian Universalists all over the place. That our religion is something that is part of a global community, and that the theology, meaning like the beliefs that make up our tradition, the history of where it is that we come from, date back 2,000 years. People have been 2,000 years. People have been believing somewhat similar things to what our faith tells us for so very long. And one of the things that's pretty exciting is that I have been having a relationship, connection, getting to know a minister of our faith who lives very far from here. And what continent is this, Zella? Africa. This is a continent called Africa. And in Africa, there are many, many countries. One of them is a country called Burundi, which is where a person named Reverend Bosco lives. And he and I chat a couple times a week via WhatsApp, an app on my phone where you can talk with people all around the world, which is so cool. And we talk about what Unitarian Universalism might look like in different places. Because Unitarian Universalism looks different in Chicago than Unitarian Universalism looks like in Burundi. That our religion, while it is one religion that brings us all together, it is also a religion that looks different in different places, which is true for every religion. Where it is matters. How it grows in that community is an important part of what makes that religion what it is. And so what I'm wondering, if you could tell me, if you're thinking about how religion might be different from Chicago to Burundi, can you guess what people might do differently in different parts of the world? Yeah. Different materials for the chalice. Church could be outside. That is exactly true for Reverend Bosco. Their church is outside, and they worship outside every Sunday. They do have a chalice, but it looks different from our chalice. Our chalice looks like this. There are so many different chalices all around, and they look different. Any other guesses of what might be different? Go for it, Marion. Maybe less people than our church. That's possible. I don't actually know if Reverend Bosco's church is smaller than ours, but maybe. June, yeah. What are you guessing? What are you thinking? Another church would have lots more people than this church. Yeah, they're all so different. One of the things that's, yeah, Zella. Absolutely. They might not, absolutely. So there's so many ways that it can be different. And those differences are beautiful. That is what makes our religious communities beautiful, is that they're supposed to be different. And that is a good thing. And so we at Adult Church today are going to talk about this word called pluralism. It's kind of a bigger word and a bigger idea. But the idea is that it is wonderful, important, and it's actually a value of ours that we hold it as important to us, that things can be and should be different, and those differences make us stronger. So I hope you can hold on to that and think about that Unitarian Universalism is different in different places, and there are religions that are different from ours, and our responsibility is to learn from them, to value them, and celebrate them. So thank you all so much. We're going to wrap up, Zella. I appreciate all of your thoughts, and if all of our adults and you as well can join us in singing as you head off to class. So each year, we make a commitment, a pledge, a financial pledge to support the ministry of this, our congregation. In addition to this pledge that you make every year, we take a collection every Sunday so that we can share resources with those who are doing justice work beyond our walls. In just a moment, you will see a phone number on your screen while the music plays, and you can do a text to give. And for those of us who are here in the sanctuary, we will pass around offertory plates, and you can put your change, cash, or checks right into those plates. And this is a great way of sharing what it is that you have with those who are doing the work that we are valuing and in solidarity with. For the month of January, we are sharing our plates with the Rainbow Railroad, which you heard a little bit about last week, and we'll hear some more this morning from Serena.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Serena Jindal, and this past fall, I had the privilege to be part of a Rainbow Railroad private sponsorship group. Rainbow Railroad is a global charitable organization that helps LGBTQI+ people facing persecution based on their sexual orientation, gender identity, and sex characteristics. There are over 60 countries where it is illegal to be queer or trans, and about 10 million forcibly displaced LGBTQI+ people throughout the world. Rainbow Railroad operates as a supporting organization for Welcome Corps, an initiative created by the State Department in 2023 that empowers everyday Americans to help refugee resettlement by providing critical support such as securing housing and employment and accessing healthcare and other resources in their first 90 days in the U.S. We formed a sponsorship group at 2U last fall to support the resettlement of a gay man from Venezuela. This spring, another private sponsorship group will be created at 2U. If you are interested in being part of this fulfilling and transformative experience, please reach out to Alicia Obando or Drew Heckman. Their emails are in your order of service. To qualify for sponsorship, the group needs to fundraise $2,425. Your donations help us to cover necessities for a newcomer, including housing, clothing, food, public transportation, and more. Thank you so much for your support and generosity during this Plate Share Month.
Now I invite you to join me in reading our offertory words. The words are printed in your order of service and, again, are on your screen. This church is the community of ourselves. Its energy and resources are our energy and resources. Its wealth is what we share. As we contribute to the life of this community, we affirm it and enable its participation in the larger world around us. The offering will now be generously given and gratefully received.
As we enter into our time of prayer or meditation, I want to invite you to join me in some silence. So often we are surrounded by voices and music and sounds of the city, the busyness of it all. Let's sit together in quiet. Let us rest our hearts in a practice of gratitude. Thankful for the breath in our lungs, the beauty of our earth, and the strength of this, our community. We hold in our hearts those who care for family and ill health, those who live with grief or chronic pain, those struggling with addiction or illness, seen and unseen. We're with you. For parents and teachers and all those whose primary spiritual practice is caring for children, we're with you. We pray for our neighbors in prison, for those who are struggling to stay afloat in the midst of poverty, for immigrants and refugees who are fleeing and seeking, finding new homes in our city amongst many. We're with you. We pray for all those living in harm's way. As fires spread across Southern California, as firefighters risk their lives, including hundreds of prisoner firefighters, we pray for our planet and commit to work that will lead us away from the harms of climate chaos. War and genocide rage on, and we continue to pray that wisdom, compassion, and empathy guide the leaders of our world. May they and we be instruments of a just and lasting peace. Our lives are blessed by those who are encountering the final stages of life. We offer prayers of comfort and care, knowing this journey is far from easy. into this, our shared silence across space. I invite you now to speak aloud the names of anyone you wish to lift up into the loving support of this community. With our deepest compassion, let us hold in our hearts those named and unnamed, those remembered and those forgotten. Let it be so. Amen, and blessed be. During our ritual of lighting candles for joys and concerns, we want to continue to take care of both ourselves and one another. Here in the 2U sanctuary, I will invite you forward momentarily to light a candle, and as you end your time of candle lighting and contemplation, we invite you to use the hand sanitizer that's available. For those of us at the Admiral, I invite you to come forward and take a pebble from one bowl, hold it tightly in your hand, putting your energy into that stone, and then knowing your joys and sorrows to be shared by this community, let it go lightly into the other bowl. And for those of us on Zoom, please join by sharing your joys and concerns in our chat window. Behold, all of these are shared joys, celebrations, concerns, and sorrows close to our hearts. Jill, would you share our first reading, please?
Our first reading this morning is entitled, There's My Temple, by Ma Teresa Tet Castillo Gallardo. There's my temple. Believer, unbeliever, or wild one, you are welcome. We have no definition of who we are, but human. We have no code, but that of respect. We have no creed, but that of equality. There's my temple. Identity seeker, sinner, stateless or not, you are welcome. We have no constraints on expression, but space. We have no code, but to listen to poetry between the silence and the surrender. There's my temple. Nature tripper, urban dweller, or saint, you are welcome. How shall we divide the world but by our breaths? We have no pope above us, no infallible bull. We have no judgment but in terms of harm. There's my temple. History maker, marginalized, unorganized, you are welcome. We have no covenant among us but mutual assistance. We insist on no assumptions and doubt moral facts. We are free to theorize with emotion and call it hope. There's my temple. Unbecoming, expert, robe or disrobe, you are welcome. We have no dwarfs or giants. Goliath fell long ago. We have no seal on revelation. Tentative is truth. Lead by your desires and serve by your prayer, power. There's my temple. Funny, temperamental, shy, or wise, you are welcome. There is not one way of being human, even Superman. We have no world but that which we together create. There is as much wisdom in harmony as in dissent.
Thanks, Jill. Our second reading is a poem you've heard before, though appropriate again for today. Different Ways to Pray by Naomi Shihab-Nye. There was the method of kneeling, a fine method if you lived in a country where stones were smooth. The women dreamed wistfully of bleached courtyards, hidden corners where knee fit rock. Their prayers were weathered rib bones, small calcium words uttered in sequence, as if the shedding of syllables could somehow fuse them to the sky. There were the men who had been shepherds so long they walked like sheep. Under the olive trees they raised their arms. Hear us, we have pain on earth. We have so much pain, there is no place to store it. But the olives bobbed peacefully in fragrant buckets of vinegar and thyme. At night, the men ate heartily flat bread and white cheese and were happy in spite of the pain because there was also happiness. Some prized the pilgrimage, wrapping themselves in new white linen to ride buses across miles of vacant sand. When they arrived at Mecca, they would circle the holy places on foot many times. They would bend to kiss the earth and return, their lean faces housing mystery. While for certain cousins and grandmothers, the pilgrimage occurred daily, lugging water from the spring or balancing the baskets of grapes. These were the ones present at births, humming quietly to perspiring mothers. The ones stitching intricate needlework into children's dresses, forgetting how easily children soil clothes. There were those who didn't care about praying. The young ones, the ones who had been to America, they told the old ones, "You are wasting your time." Time? The old ones prayed for the young ones. They prayed for Allah to mend their brains, for the twig, the round moon, to speak suddenly in a commanding tone. And occasionally, there would be one who did none of this. The old man, Fauzi, for example, Fauzi the fool, who beat everyone at dominoes, insisted he spoke with God as he spoke with goats, and was famous for his laugh. Let's hear our anthem. Thank you, Carl. Beautiful. How blessed we are to have you. So I remember being in elementary school and coming home from Sunday school and telling my mom how excited I was to be creating my own religion. I was learning so much about other traditions around the world as part of my religious education classes, and I was ready to build something entirely new, something of my own. Much like the members of 2U's own coming of age class, I was taking part in a neighboring faiths curriculum. We were learning about traditions quite different from our own. Like 2U's coming of age class, I got to attend several religious communities quite different from Unitarian Universalism. Being in the suburbs of Boston, there were not a ton of options, but we went to a synagogue and a Greek Orthodox church. I most distinctly remember the Greek Orthodox Church, the beauty and intricacies of the art inside. It inspired me. The incense mesmerized my senses, even if it activated my asthma a little bit. It couldn't have been more different than the very plain walls of the New England Unitarian Church I attended. In this church, there was gold everywhere. There was color. There were images of religious figures. I was taken by it all. The pageantry was exciting, even if quite foreign. I loved it and imagined it would be fun to be part of a tradition that took seriously beautiful things. Maybe it was more exuberant than many in my faith would appreciate, but for me, it showed a sense of loving devotion to something greater than us. While we were not able to visit a Buddhist temple or a mosque or any other houses of worship, we spent time learning what seemed to be the key basics of religious traditions around the world. I was amazed by the similarities and the differences. I was excited about the truths that were available to all of us. What could I learn? What would shape me? How did they feel about queer people? Would it be okay if I didn't believe in God? What was the right answer? I wanted to piece together wisdom from every tradition to create something that spoke directly to me. I wanted a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and fit it into my Unitarian Universalist container. My mom, though, she had some different thoughts for me. My mom went to seminary school as well. She chose not to pursue ordination, but seminary school was a transformative time in her life, and her religious grounding has always shaped mine, especially as a young person, but continues to do so today. I've told you before that I grew up in a house that had iconography of Mary all around. I was taught that feminist theology was essential for whatever it was that I believed. The feminine divine would always be present, no matter what. I shared quite a bit about this during our Mother's Day service last year. As I told my mom my plan to create my own religion just for me on the things I took from other traditions, she lovingly, quite lovingly, pushed back. "No, Jason," she said, "taking things from other traditions is not how we show we respect them. We learn from them. We're shaped by them. But we need to be careful not to take things that aren't ours." As we reflect on the beauties of pluralism today, this is a part that feels so important to me. When it comes to engaging with the theological diversity of the world and within our own tradition, our responsibility is to learn, be shaped, and engage in respectful sharing. We're not here to take. Over the last many years, Unitarian Universalists have reflected on the best ways to navigate the differences between respectful cultural sharing, cultural appropriation, and cultural misappropriation. And these are not always easy things to differentiate. There are lots of questions. There are lots of things we're unsure about. It's a messy spectrum, not clear black and white lists. When we think we are being respectful, we might actually be taking. And as we know well, intent does not necessarily matter when it comes to the impact that we have. Now, religions have been shaping each other since the dawn of time. Some stem directly from one another. Others have been in conversation across thousands of years, having an impact on the theological foundations that each embrace. But what even is this thing we call religion? Because when we think about taking, when we think about sharing, we gotta know what it even is that we're talking about. I was part of a book talk last week looking at abolition and religion, and the author, Andrew Crinks, offered some thoughts on the question of religion in the introduction of his book. Most scholars of religion agree, he writes, that there can be no final agreement on a single, all-encompassing definition of religion. He goes on, though I do not venture a fixed definition, I understand religion primarily as a set of practices and orientations to which humans transcend, transform, and make ultimate meaning of the conditions of finitude. Finitude. That's an exciting thing to think about. Religion, he is asserting, comes about as we wrestle with the knowledge that we are not always going to exist. Not only are we going to die one day, but all of who we are is always changing. We are finite creatures. Moments are finite. Experiences are finite. Ideas and truth are, in many ways, many of them finite. They evolve and change, they transform and grow. Religion then offers us an approach to this reality. Religion offers us truths, both big and little truths like we talked about a couple weeks ago. Religion orients us towards a perspective, or many perspectives, about our finite existence because we need it. We seek it. We then transcend this finitude, not in physicality, but spiritually. We understand life, purpose, and meaning within the context of our temporary lives, and we choose to live anyhow. What does this mean to you? It can be a bit of a heady conversation, and I'm not trying to overly intellectualize pluralism. It is a deeply embodied reality. Religion is deeply personal, relational, and grounded part of who we are, not simply an intellectual exercise. When you think about how you exist as a religious person, maybe a religious humanist, a Unitarian Universalist theist, a Jewish UU, an earth-centered practitioner, what is the meaning you're making of your existence? I want you to imagine that the truth of your faith exists in the space between each beat of your heart, not the thump itself, but the space in between. If you feel comfortable, you can rest your hand upon your heart and feel it. What does your faith tell you? How do you find meaning in the reality that your heart will one day stop? How do you find meaning in the reality that what is most true in your heart at this moment may be different than what it was 10 years ago, different from what it may be 10 years from now? Can pluralism include an understanding that not only is there no single truth across any religion, we're pluralistic beings even within our own selves? We are not the same as we once were, and we're not going to be the same as we are now, so feel that space between your heartbeats. I want to return to the question of cultural sharing and cultural misappropriation. The most important question to ask here is, who has the power, and is there an invitation? When it comes to power, we know we live in a world where not all religions have the same access to privilege, support, or power as each other. Where in the world we are located, the truth of that power varies. For instance, here in the United States, there has never been a ban on Christians entering the country, has there? Muslims, on the other hand, Jews, on the other hand, it's a different story. We live in a Christocentric society. Power dwells within Christianity in a way that is rooted in the oppression of others. When Christian religious communities within the U.S. and Christian adjacent communities such as ours, as we decide to engage with other religious traditions, it needs to be done with profound humility. Is there an invitation to share in the rituals, practices, truths? Is there an invitation to take on different aspects of the tradition and add it to ours? Are we invited to share? Or are we simply invited to learn from, listen, and visit without taking what is not ours? As an example, meditation practice within the vast majority of Buddhist practices is understood to be open for sharing. Buddhism, for the most part, is a proselytizing tradition that invites people to practice meditation with the hope of expanding this practice. It's not cultural misappropriation to engage in meditation. On the other end of the spectrum, though, the vast majority of indigenous communities in our country are not trying to expand the use of their sacred practices by non-indigenous people. For so long, they were criminalized for practicing their traditions. And so for myself as a non-native person, it's not my place to take part in their sweat lodges, but rather to learn about them, witness them, appreciate them, without taking that which is not mine to take. If I'm in right relationship with a particular nation and I'm invited in, that is a different story. If I'm taking part in religious tourism, it's more of a problem. And I need to reconsider power and relationship. I wonder how those examples rest with you. Keeping in mind, again, this spectrum, it's a messy one. It's full of gray area, and I'm not here to give you a prescription of what you must do, just to offer some frameworks for thinking about the ways we celebrate pluralism with the love and care it deserves, while being cautious about what it means to take that which is not ours. Given that pluralism is an articulation of one of our evolved values as Unitarian Universalists, I want to share the accompanying language that goes with the value in the Article 2 of our bylaws. It says this: we celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theologies. We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. You are a sacred being. Simply by existing, you are sacred. This is an essential value within our religion. Just as you are sacred, so is everyone else. When we covenant to learn from one another, we are committing to do so with respect, admiration, and an embrace of our values of equity and justice. We got to learn without stealing. We must learn without taking that which is not being shared. Instead, our search for truth and meaning, one of what I think is the most beautiful aspects of Unitarian Universalism, in this search, we must be responsible. We tell ourselves to do so. And this responsibility comes with a commitment to engage authentically, beautifully, and relationally. Responsibility comes with thoughtfulness, mindfulness, and intentionality. As you learn from those around you, how do you do so with this degree of thoughtfulness? How do you do so with an embrace of healthy, power-aware relationships? It's not easy, and it's worthy of trying. Black Elk, the Oglala Lakota indigenous visionary thinker, wrote about a vision he had. Then I was standing on the highest mountain of them all, and round about beneath me was the whole hoop of the world. While I stood there, I saw more than I can tell, and I understood more than I saw, for I was seeing a sacred manner that shapes all things in the spirit, and the shape of all shapes as they must live together like one being. And I saw that the sacred hoop of my people was one of many hoops that made one circle, wide as daylight and as starlight. And in the center grew one mighty flowering tree to shelter all the children of one mother and one father. And I saw that it was holy. This hoop that Black Elk saw did not erase the individual hoops, even as it made one circle. No, the hoops were there in the beauty of their individuality, and they created one holy hoop together. This is what pluralism means. It's not about taking, it's not creating one puzzle based on pieces we take from one another. It's a celebration of the collective while honoring the individual. Specificity is beautiful, even amidst the truth of oneness. When my mom told me that the religion of Jason Lydon wasn't going to fly, she did so with love and affirmation, not criticism or shame. It was an invitation to engage in learning and sharing without appropriating that which is not mine. I may have had a hard time hearing that as a young person, and it's a lesson I carry with me still today, an evolving, growing, and changing lesson as I evolve and grow and change. That was a finite experience many years ago, but I'm still making meaning of it today. Maybe that moment was a religious experience just in itself. I wonder. Let it be so, and amen. Do you want me to introduce or you? Okay. If Spanish is not a language you speak, which is true for me, you may stumble through some moments of our closing hymn, but do not worry. Be true to yourself. Do the best that you can. And for those of us who are not Spanish speakers, this is us striving to practice respectful cultural sharing. So please rise in body or spirit to join in singing our closing hymn, number 305, De Colores.
Yes, the colors of pennants and streamers and plumes and bandanas. All the colors, yes, the colors of people now taking their place in the sun. All the colors abound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. Yes, the black and the white and the red and the brown and the yellow. All the colors, yes, the colors of people who smile and shake hands and say hello. All the colors, yes, the colors of people who know that their freedom is won. Abound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. Al español. De colores se visten los campos en la primavera. De colores son los pajaritos que vienen de afuera. De colores es al arco iris que vemos lucir. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí.
Beautifully done. I invite you to rest your hands upon your heart or clasp hands with those you're sharing your life with and hear these words from the Universalist poet Edwin Markham. He drew a circle that shut me out, heretic, rebel, a thing to flout, but love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle and took him in. Go in peace, beloveds.